Hello and welcome to Craving Creativity Club. Last session we worked together on observational drawing of a leaf and then using watercolour to give it some colour. This session is going to expand a little bit on your observational drawing skills using a collection of other smaller natural objects that you have hopefully found in your local area. During this session, we'll be using different media to make drawings and thinking about the quality of line and also about contour or continuous line drawing. There'll be more about this on the membership page, which I tell you more about at the end of the video. There, you'll also be able to find a PDF showing you how to make the kind of zigzag book I used for this session. I've started here to show you what kind of a setup I've got and all the resources I've got set out. So I've got paper. This is just white cartridge paper. I've got my collection of natural objects, which I've also placed on another sheet of paper so that I can see the shadows more clearly. The surface of my table is quite rough and bumpy and paint splattered, so I wanted my objects to stand out a little bit. I've got a collection of drawing implements here, so you should probably have a pencil and a Sharpie pen from the activity last week, but you may also have other drawing materials that you'd like to try. So I've also collected together, I've got charcoal, and this is compressed charcoal in a pencil, and I also have an alternative way of drawing with pen and ink, so I've got ink and a dip pen, which can be really fun to play with. And then I've got more cartridge paper just tucked over here. So that's my setup, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit now so you can see more clearly what I'm actually drawing. And I hope the light is okay. One of the challenging things about autumn days drawing in is it gets dark quite early, so I'm working with artificial light here. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I need to just warm up a little bit with my drawing. So I'm going to pick something nice and simple. I'm going to pick the feather. And I'm just going to think about the outside, the main shapes of the feather, and I'm going to draw nice and big and just warm up my hands. I'm not going to draw with my pencil as though I'm writing. I want to make nice, big, large lines. So I'm holding my pencil a bit further along the shaft here, and I'm going to draw that central quill, and you can see I'm immediately getting really big with my feather drawing. And then I'm not really looking for a lot of detail now. I'm just getting the edges of the feather and just letting my hand move along the page. And that's as simple as it needs to be. I'm going to do the same with my leaf. Let's go in a different direction. I'm going to go up the center again with my leaf. And you can see again, this is really quite big, and I'm not worrying too much about getting accuracy. I'm drawing fast and loose. I'm just warming up my hands a little bit. Let's get some of these veins in as well. Let's try one more large item, something a little bit more complex, I think. Let's have a go with the fir cone. So I can see a slightly different angle of the fir cone from you, but I shall go for it. And it's a little bit more complex, the fir cone. We've got all these, I'm not sure what you'd call them, tines, sticky bits coming out. But again, I'm trying to be quite bold with my lines. I'm not looking for lots of detail. I'm just trying to get the basic shape of a fir cone. There we go. I think that's all I'm going to do for the moment with that one. You can see from this, I've not been too worried about drawing just on top of everything. This is just a warm-up sheet, and it does make some interesting mark making and textures that we may look at again later on. I'm going to have a go with a pen now, and one of the great things with a pen is that you can't rub it out, so it kind of forces you to be quite bold with your marks. I'm going to go little this time. I'm going to use the small end of my pen, and I've got this little seed head, I think it's ragwort, with all the fluff come out, and I'm just going to get some of these shapes down here. And although I'm working smaller now, I'm still being quite bold with my lines. And not particularly careful, not trying to be particularly realistic with my images. I'm just getting some lines down. A nice simple drawing, quite scruffy. But I'm beginning to get a feel for the type of lines I'm going to want to use in my drawings later on as well. So let's try a sycamore seed. I'll do that down here. Let's have it this way up. And I can begin to think about quality of line as well. That some lines, like this that comes across all the way along here, it needs to be quite smooth and curvy. Whereas the line that comes over here is a lot more jagged, broken up kind of line. So that really gives an effect of the broken up edge of the sycamore seed head. So I'm thinking about how I can use my pen in different ways to get an idea of the shape and feel of my object. Let's do that again with the acorn top. And again, we've got quite a nice smooth line to begin with that upper stick that used to attach it to the branch, and then a more broken line. And then these little scales, they're quite rough. And again, you can see I'm not really trying to get each one in exactly the right place. I'm just trying to get the idea of them. Then we've got this other one that's broken here as well. I want to try now the type of drawing that I'm going to encourage you to do in your zigzag book when you do it in a moment, which is continuous line drawing, or sometimes it's called contour drawing. The idea with this is that you do not take your pen or your pencil up from the page whilst you're working. I think I'll have a go at this with the compressed charcoal and some rose hips. And I'm not going to draw all the rose hips, I'm just picking on one. With contour drawing, I'm not taking my pencil off the page. So I've got my first line of the stalk, and I'm coming round the edge of the hip and then starting to get some of these, I don't know, sepals? Is that what they're called? From around the edge. And it's fine to go over the top of lines that you've drawn already. It's fine to adapt and change some of the lines. I'm getting these wrinkly shapes in now. The main thing is just to try not to take your pencil off. Let's have a go with another object. Let's try this part of this conker shell. And what this does is it forces you to think about shape and how the different aspects of your object come together. And how you might go about getting the textures within the shape that you're drawing. We'll do one more like that. I'm going to come back to my feather from a different angle. Feathers are quite nice for contour drawing. You can go up the middle and then down one side. There we go. So I feel like I'm a bit more warmed up now, so I'm going to show you how to go about making a zigzag book. Let's zoom out a little bit. There are two ways you might go about this. We're going to start with perhaps a more simple way. And I've just folded down the middle of this sheet of paper quite firmly. And you can either cut, but I'm going to use a ruler to tear that fold. So I've got two pieces now. I'm going to put a line of glue along one end. And stick those two pieces together. So I've got one long piece of paper. I'm folding that in half. Take the top layer and I'm folding in half again. Back the other way. And just zigzag over. So each time I turn, I'm folding the page back in the other direction. And so eventually I have, this way around, a zigzag book that opens like that. Or you can also turn the pages like this. So that's one way to make a zigzag book. Here's the other way. And I'll put a printable for this onto the membership page for anyone who wants to try it. So this way of making a zigzag book, what I've done is I've folded my paper in thirds long ways and opened it out, and then folded it into quarters the other way and opened it out, so that I've got 4, 8, 12 squares, square-ish shapes on my page. And then I'm going to cut along the fold not all the way, I'm stopping at the last square, and then the other fold I'm cutting in the other direction. And now I'm going to fold it up again like a zigzag or an accordion fold. So I'm folding in one direction and then folding in the other direction. And then when you get to the corner, so I folded that way, so I'm going to fold backwards, forwards. So I'm going round the corner in the same pattern. So I folded forwards, so I'm going to fold the corner backwards. All the way to the end. And then I have a zigzag book. So it doesn't really matter which version you make, that's totally up to you. That's how you make a zigzag book. The next thing I'm going to do is decide what order I'm going to draw all my little objects. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 objects. So I can discard one. Let's start cones, feather. I'm going to break that off, I think, because it's not so long. And I think I shall break off a couple of these as well. Oh, I've just got the one. That's fine. Different cone. Icon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to do a contour drawing following these 12 objects. Okay, I've zoomed in again so you can see what I'm drawing a little better. And I will put a picture in above of where I'm at with my line of objects. I've switched out my ink, you might notice, because I discovered the one I had very little left in it, and I'm going to use pen and ink for this drawing. So as I said with contour drawing, you don't take your pen or pencil off the page whilst you're drawing. Obviously, I'm going to need to dip my pen into my ink, and I'm going to need to turn the page. So I will need to take my pen off, but I will make sure to always put it back at the point where I took it off. Okay, so it will still be a continuous line. So I'll dip to begin. And I'm starting off with the fir cones, which is slightly complex to start off with, especially for a contour drawing. Not sure what fir cones these are. If anyone knows, I would love to know more about them because they're quite intriguing. I can't remember where I got them from. I've had them for a long time, these. So I'm doing these scales to begin with. One fir cone is in front of the other, so I'm making sure to get that in as well. And of course with the pen, to be quite confident with my lines, But I'm not trying to make a realistic drawing, so I'm not going to worry too much about mistakes. I'm just going to fiddle the image until it works. And I can go around lines again, go around the bottom. I'm thinking about quality of line here as well. So I'm noting that I've taken my pen off here because I'm going to open up my book and redip the pen. So I'll open the book for the next bit, which is the feather, redipping my pen and coming back to the point where I took my pen off. And now I've got this lovely quill for the feather. These pretty little fluffy bits. And again, still not taking my pen off. And I'm going to go on to draw the next object, which is these seed heads. I think these are red campion, but I could be wrong. As I've said before, I think I'm not an expert. Oh, and my pen has run out. I'm not an expert. I am just interested and like how pretty natural objects are, especially at this time of year, and they get all crunchy and structural. And back down here. I'm coming back this way now to move on to the leaf. I'm just going to move my book along as well. So again, I've taken note of where I took my pen off. I shall dip again. And now moving on to the leaf. It's a lovely jagged shape. This is a kind of hawthorn leaf, I think. Not the kind that grows in my garden, but I believe it is a hawthorn leaf. And you see where I've really thought about quality of line here, where I've got quite a thick, dark line around the edge of the leaf, but much gentler, softer line, finer line, sorry, at the veins of the leaf. And now we're on to the acorn, which is a lovely smooth shape. And then sycamore seed. I'm out of ink again. While I'm at it, let's move the book along. So I'm aiming at approximately one item per page, but I'm not being particularly careful about that. Oh, that's come off the edge of the page there. Whoops. So some pages have more like 2 items on. This lovely wrinkly looking conker that's dried up a bit. I do love the patterns in fresh conker shells. They look like so much like actual wood, but I do also love them when they're all dried up like this. And then we also have a dried up rose hip. And I'm reminding myself that I took my pen off there, moving on my book along. Nearly at the end of the book, got quite a bit left to draw, so I should probably pay attention to how much I'm fitting on a page. Right, so we're on to the fir cone. And you can see with this, I'm kind of going straight across the middle of the fir cone to get that initial shape. Now I'm going up one side, drawing in those scales, and back through the middle again. This fir cone's a lot more open than the other ones, which does cause some trickiness when you're doing a contour drawing, because how do you get from one scale to the next? And remember, you can go over lines. That does affect the type of line it is when you go over them. Now on to this lichen, which is, I never know how to say that, which is these lovely, frilly, lacy shapes, which I'm not even going to attempt to draw accurately at this stage. I'm just getting the idea of these lovely, frilly shapes. I'm using my pen quite lightly and roughly here. Sometimes it's good when it's running out. Get that very light line. And then I'm going to go back over some of these areas, I think, now that I've dipped, and get some of these shadowy shapes in. And again, this is what I'm talking about quality of line, that the difference between those very light lines for those frilly shapes and the much heavier line to denote a shadow. And we've got the conker shell. And the final little ragwort seed head. Oh, just hoping not to have to dip again. I can make use of that after all. And there we go. If you've enjoyed this session, you might want to consider joining the membership for Craven Creativity Club. You can find that on my website at www.elenastorra.uk, and just scroll down a little bit and click on the Craving Creativity Club logo. There you'll find PDFs and blog articles. There will be future live Zoom sessions and a discount on Zoom membership. You'll be able to share your work, and I also offer personalised feedback straight to your email. Not only that, if you click the marketing, that you do agree to marketing button, you will also get emails every week during project time telling you where and when to find me here on YouTube. All of this is free up until the end of 2025. As of January 2026, it will be £5 a month, but it will remain free for all founding members who join in this year. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let the YouTube algorithm know that I'm here. I respond to every comment, and I just really want to build a great community for us all as creatives. See you again soon.